Dylan, the folks who watch the show live on Twitch, when I cut the top of the hour promo, I usually get a grade. I would get a grade on my promo read, and I'm still, for the life of me. Oh, what's the mug this morning, by the way? Did you go back to your Yankees mug?
No, we are grateful.
Okay, so it's
appropriate.
Yes, and so so I do the promo read for our friends at Eliminize, and I get graded because I'm still trying to figure out, okay, the level of the music, where it goes. It can't be 50-50 because then no one can hear me. Figured 15 to 20 was where it needed to be on the scale, and so I had it at 20, and so of course Coco grades me with a 4.
Whoa.
Because the mic went into distortion, and and it's on a scale. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. Traditionally, that's what we do. And so, because of the distortion of the microphone and the music, ended up with a 4, at least from Coco anyway. Because you have others. You've got Coco. See, now here's where Coco's math was. The read was a 6, but the technology was a 3. So technically, I guess it's a 4.5. Sean comes in with a 6.55 this morning. So do not be surprised in the Twitch pitch if we end up with grades. Yes. And I was going to say, Sean is the resident East German judge giving me the 6.55, and Coco gave me a 4.5. I don't know who really is the,
is it on like a sliding scale then? Like, do you just take the
no, everybody just slams me and gives me a grade that they feel that they want to. So
I didn't know there was going to be this kind of pressure coming in.
Oh, well, no, it's just the pressure's on me. It's not on you. Everybody's
on our segment too. Like, it was our segment's not going to be graded.
No, the segment itself is not going to be graded. No, you're fine. You visit people like you. People like you. They sit there and they just give me grief all the time and all over the place. So, where were you yesterday watching the most angst-laden 9 minutes and 53 seconds probably in U.S. soccer history this week?
Yeah, I was at the the Village Idiot Irish pub in Oakdale out here on the island. So I had to work an MLS shift till pretty much like kickoff. So I was trying to just find like the most local establishment. I've done a bad job of hitting these local spots around here because now to my defense, we moved at the very beginning of a pandemic. So like the thought, and I have a soon to be. Oh, I appreciate that, Jason. And so plus busy at work, plus I have a soon to be 4-year-old, so haven't had these opportunities. This is actually my first time there, but it was good. It was funny because it was I was joking with my buddy Jack and my cousin Eric, who came out for it as well. Good crowd, right? Not the most soccer savvy or knowledgeable, right? Like, it was like, hey, this is the sporting event, let's go watch it.
Okay.
So I was sitting there, at a table, and I had my back to some of the people at the bar, and then some of the chatter, like Pulisic scores, goes down and comes off, and then there was like are we playing with the man down? No, we're not. We're not playing with the man down. Somebody else came in for him, right? Like, he can come back in later. And I was just like, I felt like I needed to like be on a stage or something with a microphone and just explaining everything. Well, folks, here in this situation, he did come off. They did not make a sub though, because he cannot come back into the game if they sub him out.
So you had to be the guy on the tarmac bringing in the planes for this one.
I felt like I probably should have been, but I guess it's kind of what you take a little bit with with the growing of the sport, right? Like, more eyeballs and more confusion, I think, from folks. But this is I think what a World Cup brings, right? A lot more visibility to this sport. which is good and at times frustrating as well.
And we found out what pelvic contusions are all about.
Yeah, we certainly did. Um,
Yeah.
but you know what? Listen, I thought, and I remember commenting a few times up to that point. I was like, he's like really playing well, right? Like it just seemed he had, he was that guy just taking defenders on, and like he had that extra gear, and he just looked um like a different Christian Pulisic, right? That we've seen at the World Cup. Set pieces were still poor, like he still couldn't clear that first post, but I just love him literally crashing the net to score the goal, right? Like, you and I are hockey guys too, and like you always hear about crashing the net, getting to the dirty areas, and uh, such a gritty goal for him to score. Loved it. Obviously, you wish he was able to celebrate, but we saw those great scenes when the U.S. gets back to the hotel, and he is super giddy, and the first time then seeing like his teammates. So that was a really cool sight, and now you just hope. We deal with so many different injuries, and you get to find following the sport as long as we have, what certain injuries are, right, and their length. So like a high ankle sprain is really really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no idea the length of a pelvic contusion. But he says that he'll be ready to go on Saturday, so we will see.
Yeah, and so that's part of the shtick, and we almost had Tunisia scoring in the 8th minute against France, but right now still goalless. The flag was raised.
Yeah, see, I got the picture going on. So I've got the Australia Denmark on the bigger portion, and then I've got Tunisia France in a smaller window there.
Yeah. So that's where we have a finger raised. What we have finger raised with the center ref. We checking? Are we checking? Are we checking?
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good. So we're goalless there. When and we mentioned Christian Pulisic. It was yesterday's match was not the 9-8 Kings Kraken match from last night. By the way, I think that was 17 goals in a game. I cannot remember the last time that's actually happened. Okay, that was hockey down here. That happens usually about 2:55 in the morning on Thursdays. But U.S. is out of the group stage.
Yeah,
and
mission accomplished. Right.
Yeah.
However it happened, and not to cut you off, John, but like to
feel free, sir. Go right ahead.
When you take, I think, the group as a whole now. Listen, they didn't lose a match, right? Like, and if we're being not even greedy about it, right? Like it should have been 7 points, right? That should have been a win against Wales. So, I think either of those. I think again, anybody associated fans of the U.S. team, that U.S. team itself, if you say we'll get 5 points in advance, you take that.
Yeah. And right. Matt Turner with back-to-back clean sheets.
Yeah, for sure. And he made he had a nervy moment late with a ball that had to get cleared, but made the saves that he had to make as well. And he's just growing in confidence, and he's looking great. So all positives, right? Like the angst that I was feeling this time yesterday, it was a deep breath. It was a cleansing, and it's let's go for the knockouts now, and this is the fun part of it.
Even as the lineup came out and it was CCV and Tim Ream, Annette Walker-Zimmerman and Tim Ream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I know that I was concerned about chemistry at the back in a game that you had to have as a must-win.
I thought he's better on the ball than Zimmerman, so I wasn't as concerned. I wasn't as concerned with that, to be honest. I think it was the other. I was like thinking, wow, I guess Jesus Ferreira is really down on this number 9 depth chart, and I didn't think that I thought he'd be at the top, right? Like I should say this. I should say I thought Sargent would start against Wales,
Yeah.
but then I just felt like it was, like, okay, well, he didn't show a lot, onto the next guy. And I thought the next guy would have been Ferreira. And then when it wasn't, and it was Haji Wright, I was like, okay, we didn't see a lot from him. Now it's on to the next guy. So it's like the third guy. So I thought for sure, well, I wouldn't say for sure, most likely he would get the start unless you go with literally, we have to go with our 11 best guys. And then you put Tim Weah into like a false nine and then put Aronson on the field as a starter. So, but then when Sargent was out there and Aronson wasn't a starter, that was surprising to me.
One of the other comments that was raised in the Twitch pitch this morning is that the world is covered by 70% water. The rest of it's covered by Tyler Adams.
Oh my goodness! Listen, I'm not. It's not about me. It's not about like saying, hey, look what I. But like, even with you and I think you, me and Jason had this conversation last year or the year before, maybe last year, right? Like when it was like all these different guys with the armband, and I was telling you guys, having seen Tyler Adams up close at training in the locker, just like dealing with him during his time with the Red Bulls, I was like, this is the guy, right? To be the captain, and he should be the cap. Like we shouldn't have this revolving armband thing. So certainly glad that he got it. And then of course, like the viral moment in the press conference, and I wasn't surprised, but I was just so proud of his response in the face of just unnecessary heat that he was getting.
9 consecutive questions
from the Iranian press.
Yeah, nine consecutive questions from the Iranian press. And you had U.S. journalists raising their hands trying to ask questions. And for some strange reason, they were not called upon.
Yeah, and the women in the room, women reporters, were not called upon when Iran were doing their presser. So that's a whole nother story. But to Tyler, yeah, listen. So the leadership skills we knew about, but also just the ground that he continues to cover, and again, I saw that early. I remember watching him. Like I think the first wow factor for me with him was like Red Bull's run through the CONCACAF Champions League, and I remember him in Mexico, and like everyone, the whole talk about being in Mexico is, the altitude and the you're not going to have the air, and like it's going to be so hard, and the altitude, and like he just was making these lung busting runs and just never tired, right? And like when the conversation became about the qualifiers and how hard it's going to be, this new 3 matches in a FIFA window, how hard is that going to be? Squad rotation, you do not rotate a Tyler Adams. Like he's just robotic in that sense. So another tremendous performance from him, and couldn't be prouder of what he's shown to now the world, that I was able to see with a small kind of contingent out there in New Jersey for a couple of years.
Is Weston McKennie a 60-minute run like hell guy and sub him off guy for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question. I think he's still not like, there's fitness and there's match fitness, right? And he hadn't played for Juventus and for quite a while, so I think he's still not necessarily match fit, not 100% match fit at least, right? So at this point, yeah, I kind of think that, and I think you've got a pretty good group of midfielders there. I was thinking the like for like would have been an Aronson, but obviously, I think he came on from Musa, right? Brendan did. And that's been, I think, the sub, and I think it's been like a Costa for Weston, and that's been fine too. So I've got no problem with those subs. But yeah, no, it appears that way with Weston right now. You wish he was fully healthy, but at least we do have him for the amount of time that we have him, right?
Time for the Gio Reyna question.
Oh my goodness.
All right. and I mean, we've been talking about it a lot in the first hour, and where Greg says there's a bit of a knock, Gio says I'm healthy, then we don't see him. I'm of the thought pattern, why give your opponent something that they have to not practice for to end a sentence in a preposition? If Gio is not match fit, if he's not good to go, if he can only give you that cameo to sit there and it's like, okay, hey, he's still here. We got him. You got to think about it. Why give the opposition one less thing to have to prepare for? That's how I look at it. If he can't go, then you're not going to sit there and go, well, yes, here in the knockout stages, we're not going to have Gio Reyna. No, you don't do that kind of stuff. You sit there and it's like what we say with hockey, coming back to hockey down here,
Yeah, yeah,
where you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's got an upper body injury. Oh, he'll play. You know, we find it that Mark Recchi skated with a broken foot. You know, those
right.
those kinds of things. You don't give fodder to the opposition if the situation with Gio Reyna is what we can suppose that we think it is.
Yeah, and again, I was around Gio a lot less than I was around Tyler Adams, right? When he was at the academy and I saw him training with the first team with NYCFC a bunch of times. So I would say I could speak a lot more certain about Tyler Adams about certain things than I can about Gio. But there's this. I think it was Eric Ronaldo kind of put out this storm a little bit, right? Of his theory that maybe he was complaining or there was some sort of disciplinary thing there. I don't know. I don't. It would explain a lot, but he's not that kind of kid. Like
Yeah.
he's not the I gotta play me, kind of guy. He doesn't have a huge ego, so I could at least say that with certainty. So, yeah, I think it's the whole mind game thing right now, right? Like, yeah, he's got a no, I'm good. I could play. Like, the truth is probably we find out after the tournament, right? But you're right. I don't, why say, so and so has a bruised left ankle, right? Because guess what ankle is going to get tackled
Uh-huh.
first when when the challenge comes in. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And I think, though, the other part of the discussion that the folks were having in the Twitch pitch was, then if that's the case, don't say everything's cool, that he's 100% and he's ready to go, or, that he's like 80%, and then have Gio come out and say, no, I'm 100%. Don't have that as your evidence that you're entering into the case to sit there, because people would be distracted. It's like, but Gio said he's good to go. And that distracts folks into thinking, okay, it's like that Berhalter's holding him back for some other reason. I think that that's the other element that folks are concerned about here.
Yeah, I think too. It just seemed like maybe those two didn't get a chance to get on the same page, right? Look at with their stories, right? Like
That,
maybe he's probably not 100%, right? Maybe he's being held out for whatever reasons, and um, let's get our stories aligned before we go
yeah.
out to the
Yeah.
press.
And I think that that's the key here. It's like, look, all right, so here's what we're going to say.
Right.
You get in the huddle and it's like, okay, he's press officers off to the side. And so Greg is sitting there with Gio. And it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to say. You say this, I'll say this. And then, we'll sit there and let everybody else think about what's going on. Let them think that they have to continue to prepare for you. I think that
Right.
that was the key too, is like they didn't have their huddle. They didn't have their PR huddle before they went out and said what they said.
Yeah, I probably just didn't get that chance, right? Like in the craziness that was the post game of that match.
Yeah. So it's like, come on, just have that little side chat before you go out there and you sit at the table. Who else has impressed you? Who else impressed you in group stage, and who else concerned you in group stage?
For the US.
Yes.
I think there's a general concern with, and I'm not, breaking any news here, that inability to get that killer goal,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw a few opportunities where I think yesterday it was like Tim Weah was dribbling. There's like I know it was Pulisic and maybe Sargent, right? Like we're out. Like if he just get that pass off to them and just get past the one defender, it's a 2 on, I think,
Yeah.
And you'll have a goal that you'll have your second goal. So still a concern, I think, with the number 9 position.
Yeah.
Just again, the goals aren't coming from there. Um, I think I've been concerned about Pulisic's again, the set pieces and the inability to be dangerous on them, and even just give your guys a chance. Like so many times, I feel like his corners are just being cleared at the near post, and
Right.
you're not even giving a guy like we even saw like I think his first one or two were cleared, and then you saw that they decided to go short, right?
Yes.
Like just and that didn't work either. So that's a concern for sure. But I think the midfield trio have been really good. I think Adams obviously has been the player of the tournament. Turner's been really good. Ream has been a really, really big surprise, right?
Mhm.
From a guy we never thought he'd even be on the roster to that rock in the
Yeah,
in the in the central defense, right? So
absolutely.
he's been a positive. Tim Way has been a positive. He's another guy who's had concerns about his health, but again, just his ability to be creative and run at guys and give defenses fits. Even though he doesn't score that goal yesterday, still loved just being dangerous. Uh, and yeah, I don't like the outside backs. I think have been fine. Like not a other guys have been okay. So yeah, I think those are probably my biggest sort of takeaways of the positives and the negatives, and the other guys have been good, solid.
And I know that, and Coco mentioned Tim Ream's been an MVP type player for the United States. And Coco, you weren't the only one. Critical of his inclusion on the roster, but dude has been a stud.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Coco and John and everybody else. I
Yes.
thought uh, when he was named to the roster, you know what I was thinking? Honestly, I was like, okay, you need another veteran guy, right? Like not like a Sean Johnson or a DeAndre Yedlin, and those guys haven't played, right? Like I just thought he was like that guy you need in the locker room and at training to sort of guide a very very young team. Um, and then he's in the starting line for the first match, and I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Uh, I like it. He and Jedi already have that partnership, that combination. And then for sure, he's been lights out, right? Like he's so good on the ball. Um, I think better than the other options that we have. So yeah, he's. I think of if you had a pleasant surprises category here from this group stage, he's absolutely that guy.
Yeah.
I still think the MVP though it has been Adams.
Yeah, no question. Then that leads itself to the other big talking point that we had in the first hour. Are you a one cycle coach guy or no?
Yeah, we discussed this before. I'm not I'm not an either or. I know that's kind of vanilla of me, but I think it depends on the results and
Yeah.
and the performances. I don't believe that that's a decision that needs to be made exclusively because of like the years. If you get me right,
Yeah.
like um, if they go on to the semifinals, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, how about we give Berhalter another chance, right? Like, I thought if he doesn't get out of the group stage, I don't think he survives it. So, I think it's purely based on results. I could see the argument against it. Needing a new voice, a new, you get concerned about being stale, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Uh, from that standpoint, but I don't like if you're getting the job done, you're getting the job done. So
Yeah. And folks were floating names that if Greg was not renewed, they were looking at Marsh, they were looking at Jim Curtin. Rich Ransom, our resident Philadelphia Union fan, was like, "You can't have Jim Curtin."
no, I
Uh,
think it's Jesse Marr. If Jesse wants it, and I think he's absolutely the guy. There's no question.
all right, so state your case, counselor, on Marsh, Jesse.
He's shown uh, the when he was with the Red Bulls, that not only obviously with Tyler Adams, but with others, he's very good with young players, and we've seen that too with Aronson, right? As well. I think he's always evolving. He's always learning. I think they play exciting, right? Like they were the best version of the Red Bulls when he was in New York.
Yeah.
He's proven that the stage, whether it's the Champions League or big domestic matches, or even now at Leeds, right? Like where pressure is there, big time pressure is there, and he's proven to step up to the case, and guys love playing for him, right? Like I don't know many guys, if any, who have said, "Yeah, it sucked playing for Jesse Marsh." Right? Like, he is a player's coach, and he wears that emotion on his sleeve as well, which I think the players love to see. So, yeah, I think he's the guy. You know, I think because of that, like if it's a him versus Curtin thing, I think because of having success and the experiences that he's had in Europe, I think I would give him the nod there.
Argument accepted, counselor. We will hold it in evidence for future cases and future trials where we're having this discussion. They've got the Netherlands on the weekend, and I know that early on, as you're watching picture in picture, and I just have the one match off to my left. Hey, a yellow card for a team that's probably not going to make it into the into the knockout stage. That's a real good one. Against the Netherlands, I know that a lot of folks have been looking at that, and right now the U.S. Let me check juice boxes really quickly because they do exist in it with the next round of matches right now, and the numbers have decreased a little bit. Netherlands started out at a minus 115 in the composite. They're down to a minus 109. The U.S. are right now hanging around plus 350. What do you think at that 10 o'clock match on the 3rd, sir?
I think the U.S. are understandably the underdog, but as I said, I think I told you leading in. I think we spoke leading into the England match, or
right.
even I don't know, whatever it was. But they're better, I think, as the underdogs, right? Like they play better. It's that added, and I think it helps having those young guys in this sense, that added chip on their shoulder, right? So I think that'll be a plus for the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. I don't think the Netherlands. I mean, I can't pronounce that I've watched every minute with like a scouting eye, but I don't. To me, they've not been like amazing world beaters, right? They haven't looked like a team that would win the World Cup to me. So, it's not a Brazil. It's not, like it. I think you can go in with a little bit of confidence as well, right? And I think these younger guys will know that they're the underdogs, and they'll come in still with a swagger, right? We expect that from an Adams, from a McKennie, if Pulisic is on the field. So, I didn't have them I did the World Cup bracket at MLSsoccer.com. I did not have them winning this match. I did have the matchup.
Okay.
I did not have them winning this match, to be honest. I would like to be wrong, but I don't think it's the level of shocking upset. Like I don't know if it's that, right? Like I think it would be an upset for sure, but I don't think it's not the U.S. beating England in 1950 kind of an upset.
Yeah. Okay. So we will hold you to that when you come back next week. What else is on your mind? What else are you writing? What else are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from a broadcasting standpoint, I'm not even between seasons. I've got a Senior Bowl football game tonight that I was like prepping till like 1 a.m. yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun times. And then I've got 2 basketball games on the weekend, so I'm kind of between football, basketball.
It's the collision of sport.
Darts, World Cup happening. Like it's just this comes in handy right about now. So
yes. and especially the message on said mug. Well,
Grateful.
Dylan, as always, it's great to have you on our Wall Pass Wednesday, where pretty much everybody has everything on their mind and they throw it our way, and we talk about it at Dylan_Butler, MLSsoccer.com, OSDB Sports. His high school sports are colliding with varsity media, and it's always fun to have you on, my friend. Go watch your picks.
And also, by the way, Friday night. I don't know. I don't even know if you have it down in that area, but your show is worldwide. So I will be on MSG Network on Friday night. It's one of like 7 games I'm going to be on the call for, high school basketball wise. So if anybody in the Atlanta area or elsewhere gets any of the MSGs, I think it's called MSG-SN now, but I'll be on that live Friday night.
MSGSN, Dylan Butler, Friday night. Yes. And so you're a couple of weeks behind us. Our championships, our semifinals are this week, and our championships are next week when it comes to high school football. But we'll be keeping an eye. Put the link in the Twitch pitch so folks can watch. Go ahead and do that.
I don't even know if I have it. Sorry.
Post it on social media when you find it. Dylan, it's always great to catch up with you. OSDB Sports, MLSsoccer.com, Varsity Media, MSGSN, and everything else going on. You own the tri-state, sir. We'll catch up with you next week.
Cheers.